and welcome to the Author Roundup, a special segment of the Book Connection Show where we meet up and coming indie authors and talk to them about their recently released books. Welcome to the Author Roundup. I'm your host, Jenny. In this episode, we're joined by Stefan Oehl, author and retired licensed aircraft maintenance engineer with a meticulous eye for technical detail and a deep passion for Kawasaki motorcycles. Stefan brings us Kawasaki Superbikes Z1000 DNS, a fascinating look at how Kawasaki revolutionized motorcycle design in the late 70s and 80s, blending cutting edge technology, bold engineering, and unforgettable racing stories. With decades of experience in aviation technical departments and a hands on history with these bikes, Stefan offers a unique perspective on engineering excellence and motorcycling heritage. Let's welcome back Stefan Oehl, author of Kawasaki Superbikes Z1000 DNS. Hello, Stefan.
Hello, Jenny. Thank you for the invitation and having me again on your show. Thank you.
It's great to have you back, and I'm sure everyone's
Mhm.
excited to talk to you about your latest book. So let's start at the beginning. What inspired you to write this book, Kawasaki Z1000 DNS? Was there a specific moment or memory that sparked this project?
It is an essential part of the book series because it shows how Kawasaki went away from the 3S styling concept, from these smooth curves, into a more triangular and straight line design. So very interesting because it had an impact on other models as well.
I see. So once you had the idea that you would like to write this book on this particular model, how long did the entire research and writing process take from start to finish?
Yeah, I would estimate about 9 to 10 months just to investigate, get the images, get permissions and information. You need manuals, and so it's a very time-consuming process. And that is what I probably needed, 9 months to 10 months.
I see. So that's quite a lot of hard work on
Mm.
your part. One thing, that really stands out in your books is the level of technical and historical detail. I think everyone who has read your book would agree on that. How did you go about gathering and verifying all that information?
Yeah, the process, there is a lot of routine now after 6 books. Yeah, this is book number 7. And so the routine helps. So I found out how to approach the search, how to build up the book. It's the same structure than before. And so, yeah, the routine helps. Yeah, and saved a lot of time. And I was able to incorporate much more information, more on the pages. And I even had to cut pages out because Ex permits only 480 pages, and I had 520, yeah,
I
at the end.
see. So you really had to make sure that everything, all
Mm.
of the information, all the important information would be in the book.
Yes, we still had the problem that end of the 1970s, there was no internet, no digital cameras, no data storage devices. So there's not much information available online, only what people offer today when they had restored a bike. And so I had to contact people. I had to contact the race driver, Graham
Mhm.
Crosby, and to gather information. And yeah, still end of 1970s, no internet and
Correct.
very difficult. And the resolution of images is also not so detailed than we would expect it today. By the way, that is the book. Yeah. So it's very detailed. It deals about the Z1000 D series and the two turbo versions, yeah, which were built by Kawasaki and by American Turbocycle ATC.
I see. So, Stefan, you did mention that most of the information were from the 1970s and a little bit of
Yes.
1980s. And you said that it was difficult because there was no internet. And so
Yeah.
the information was quite difficult to gather. Were there any rare documents, perhaps factory brochures or insider contacts that played a key role in your research?
Definitely the documents from ATP, ATC, the American Turbocycle Corporation, because I mean, no one had any recordings about power output and charge pressure and so on. So it was very important to get these documents. And another important and interesting item is that these turbocharged models had no warranty. So people who obtained these bikes had to sign the waiver that they never demanded warranty because the engines were so powerful that many of them were destroyed because people used too high charge pressure. And to ride a bike, you need these documents. And when you write the book about it, it's also important. You need to look at the recommendations, not only how the system is designed. The second stage is how to use it. You have a charge pressure screw. You can select the charge pressure, and you need to know how much is the maximum. The rider could check the pressure on a special gauge on the steering stem. And so that is an important information, how the bike works and how to adjust it.
I see. How did you decide on the structure of the book, especially since this book is, it's visual heavy layout and it has a lot of technical breakdowns?
Yeah, the design or layout is the same than all books. So when you look from the top down on a bike, it's a clockwise, a counterclockwise movement around the motorcycle, starting at the front wheel, going to the steering stem, the engine, exhaust, tailpiece, and all the way to the front. And in the case of the 1000D, there are two engines. The first, the D1, was equipped with an old, uh, yeah, basically Z1000 A engine. And the other part, the other models, D2 and D3, had the MK2 engine. So what I needed to incorporate are two engines. And on top of it, not only the carburetors, also the turbocharged versions, yeah, which is very complex. And this is the reason why I had to delete many pages, yeah, to limit it to 480.
Mhm. And you were able to provide all visuals or pictures for these different parts, or at
Yes,
least of the motorcycle itself.
I'm very happy with the outcome because I have incorporated information on from several pages into one page. I have added photos even to show the original position of this particular part on a motorcycle. And so, yeah, I noticed in every book there is a little bit of an improvement. Yeah, because
Wow.
I develop new ideas and I incorporate these new ideas. Why not? Yeah. So the structure is the same, but the details and the quality improves.
That's amazing. Now, let's talk about the bike itself this time. In your eyes, Stefan, what makes the Z1000 such a significant bike in Kawasaki's history? And why did you focus on this series specifically?
Yeah, it is very important. It's one aspect of these super bikes of the 1970s and 80s. You cannot leave it away because Kawasaki went away from the 3S styling concept and developed more futuristic bikes. And this is a key model, so I had to incorporate it into my book range.
So, even after so many decades, this model still has a very strong visual presence. What do you think makes its design still relevant or still admired even until today?
Yeah, Kawasaki had a good selection, not only technically and optically. The roundish front end with a round headlight had to be incorporated in this triangular shapes. So what Kawasaki did, they developed a front fairing and they transitioned from a round shape from the headlight into the square and triangular shape of the rest of the bike. And then they had a very good selection of the first color. It was luminous starlight silver, and this contributes to the high, the futuristic design of the bike. And I think the top of everything is the tinted windscreen. Because
Mhm.
when you have a clear windscreen, you see still the round dials, but Kawasaki selected a tinted windscreen and hid these round things. So this bike looks like almost a UFO for
Wow.
me. Yeah.
I see. So many readers may not realize the importance of some of the details that you included, like date markings and part codes. Why do these matter in restorations?
Yeah, you find by your research very often that people offer a bike and say original condition, but when you look closer, they use aftermarket parts. When people restore bikes, they need a new old stock. It's NOS. So basically, Kawasaki parts, they were manufactured in the 1970s and put in stock, and they are still available in the original packaging with the labels and so on, but they are original parts and they are slightly different from aftermarket parts. Yeah, Kawasaki had no impact related to the development of these aftermarket parts. And when someone offers an original bike, yeah, it must have the original markings and these NOS parts. Yeah, and then you can achieve a lot of money. Yeah, maybe 20, $30,000. That's a normal price. But when you have the wrong wheels, yeah, the price might drop by 30%. Yeah,
Correct.
so I can only suggest do research before starting a yeah, renovation of a bike. And to save time and money, I can offer my book. Yeah, you have straight away everything in front of you what you need, and you can take it to a person who offers parts and compare the parts and see if it's really original. Yeah, so my research of 9 months, when you calculate the hourly rate, yeah, you would never have a large profit on this bike. And so by obtaining the book, yeah, it saves you a lot of money, and you can straight go ahead to building the bike.
I see. So, what's your favorite technical feature or mechanical innovation from the Z1000 DNS series?
Yeah, it's definitely the turbocharged the versions. Yeah, we had two. The first one from 1979 was offered by Kawasaki. It was delivered in Starlight Silver and had a turbocharger and an output of 130 horsepower. But soon people found out that the engine is destroyed when the rider selects a charge pressure which is beyond what Kawasaki suggested, and so connecting rods broke, pistons were damaged, and so on. And in 1980, the TC2 was offered with a nice Molly graphics design, black and orange and yellow stripes. And they went down to 120 horsepower, and the engines lasted a little bit longer. However, the customers had to sign a waiver, and they could not claim warranty. When they damaged the engine, yeah, there was no warranty. And this is what many people don't know, that Kawasaki sold these two models without warranty.
Hmm. I see. So it's good to know that. I mean, after so
Yes.
many years, that's an information that's still very relevant today, right? So, which component or system was the most challenging to document or explain?
Yeah, it's always the transmission, because it's like a clockwork. You have these gears and bearings and shims, and they all differ. They look the same from one year to the next, but when you look closer, they use different bearings. Yeah, they use different gear settings inside, and that is very time consuming to check that everything is. I mean, on the first. Glance, you might think they took it over from the year before, but when you write a book, you want to be accurate. And so my book shows all these differences per year, all the different part numbers for the bearings, and that took the most of the time for two engines.
Because you have to show both and, you know, make sure that you have the pictures and all that to support the information that you're giving. Right. So you may
Yeah.
have touched on this earlier, Stefan, when you were answering some of my previous questions. But what advice do you have for someone starting their first Z1R restoration?
Yeah, the first advice is to obtain my book. Yeah, because as I said, you save a lot of time because many people tell you many things and they might not be correct. And so in the book, yeah, I can guarantee after long research that I'm pretty much close to the original version. Yeah, because Kawasaki used also parts for the first Z1000 D from previous models. And that is also a very unknown fact that you can find parts from a previous year, but it's an original part, yeah, because Kawasaki used it off, yeah. So black painted engines for silver painted ranges and so on. Yeah, and that is what I can suggest. Buy the book because the manuals will not show you, the graphics are not accurate enough to show you the differences.
Right. So your book will be very helpful. However, Stefan, today there are still a lot of digital resources for restorers, right? Do you think these digital resources make restoration easier or do they risk spreading misinformation?
Yeah, the less time someone uses to do the research, there's a higher probability that wrong information is obtained. Because, as I said, there are people they offer fantastic renovated bikes, and they are spotless, no rust and no yeah damages. But they used aftermarket parts, and they swear it's original. Yeah, and when you do a short research and you believe it, you waste money on something what later drops the price of your project. And so there are no shortcuts.
Yes, you really have to research on these things
Yes.
before you.
Yes, because these people are retired now from Kawasaki, the mechanics and shop owners, yeah, they are not available anymore. Many of them retired and they are not available anymore. So there are not many sources. Yeah, by the year, the sources get less. Yeah, and so fortunately, we still had a good, stable internet, and I was able to get the information. But who knows how it is in 1 or 2 years? Or maybe we have a power outage and then it's over. Yeah, your work stops. So when someone restores a bike and there's a power outage, it's over. Yeah, there's no information coming in, no part can be ordered. Yeah.
I see. So earlier, Stefan, you also talked about the performance of the motorcycle or this particular model. Can you talk about the connection between racing performance and showroom success in the 1970s?
Yeah, this is very important because when you have a production motorcycle and a famous racer has wins races with this bike, yeah, this boosts the sales numbers. So it was a very important cooperation between the racing industry and Kawasaki. Yeah, and very important, the bike shouldn't be altered. It should pretty much look like the original street-worthy bike. And then people identify themselves with the winner. And Graham Crosby won with his bike and was very successful. And he helped to boost the sale numbers for Kawasaki. Very important connection.
I see. So that's why you also mentioned that in the book, right?
Yes, when there is space, I always use an example of someone who modified a bike. He used the bike, which is the matter of the book, and transformed it into a famous bike, like in the first one, the Mad Max bike, and so on, and Greg Vetter in the Z1000, and in this Z1000 D book. Sorry, yeah, I'm German. I used the racing bike created by the Hannon brothers and Yoshimura. So they built the bike for Graham Crosby. So it's a Hannon Yoshimura Kawasaki. But it looks like the stock bike. Has much more power, has a different transmission and so on, different wheels. But as I said, it boosted the sale numbers and yeah, pointed the attraction of people to the bike and said, "Oh, that must be a great bike when Graham wins with it." Yeah.
I see. So Stefan, let's shift gears a bit. So, writing a book, this scope must have been a very huge undertaking. Like you said, there's so much research that's been needed to produce this book.
Yes.
Were there any moments of doubt or burnout during the writing process? And tell us how you got through them.
I must say, I had no burnout syndromes because I cut my work in pieces. So when I do a couple of hours and I have finished one section, I go to the garden, do some gardening, or go shopping, make a break. Yeah, because you get exhausted and you get nervous. So it's very important to cut the work in pieces because breaks are part of work. This is what
Right.
people often forget. Yeah, the break is a very essential part of work.
I see. So that's how you manage to work and come up with a very or a highly technical book for that matter. So breaks in between. And this
Yeah,
breaks they could just add to your productivity, right?
yes, very important. What I can suggest when before you start writing, look for a nice space where you can work. A lot of space. You
Mhm.
need a look in the garden. Yeah, no noise and so on. And that is very important that you have a nice space where you feel well, and then the outcome will be much better. And then, as I said, the breaks are very important. When you feel it's not the day, well, why not take your bike or car, go to the beach or in the forest, yeah, for a walk and go back. Yeah, and this is how things work.
Mm, I see. Very good advice for people who are starting to write their own books. So
Yeah.
now, Stefan, now that you have already published a lot of books in this series, looking back at the finished product for this particular book, which section of the book are you most proud of and why?
Yeah, it is a final section where Graham Crosby gave me his permission to use information, his name. I contacted the Hannon brothers and they gave me the permission and sent me technical details because there's nothing online. You would not find the technical data of this racing bike, of the Z1000 D1, what Graham used. And so this is my favorite section. And I did my own drawings. I recreated the bike, how it looked on a particular day, because a race bike changes. There are new exhausts, new wheels, new fairings, and so on. And new the placards on the bike are different. So I used one particular day where the bike was used, and this is displayed in my book. And I like this section most because, as I said, I contacted Graham, and he is such a friendly man
Mm.
and helped me out.
That must have been amazing for you to get in touch with them and talk to them about the motorcycle.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Sorry. Imagine that is a hero of our younger years. So I remember when I was younger, people like Graham Crosby, they were, or Eddie Lawson, yeah, they were heroes for us. And today, I'm contact and exchange information, and that is a highlight of my work.
wow. Mhm.
Yeah.
So, did you come across some unexpected discovery while doing your research or writing your book? It could be about yourself or about the Kawasaki motorcycles that you were writing about.
Yeah, the most interesting part is that the warranty waiver had to be signed for turbo cycles. And also, I was surprised that the previous turbocharged model, the TC1, models which couldn't be sold were handed over to Molly Design. They painted them in black and yellow and orange, and they were sold 1 year later as the next TC2 version. Yeah? So part of the TC2s are unsold TC1s. Yeah, this is what not many people know.
Yes, and all of that is in your book. So it's all
Yes.
there. So if people would like to know more about that, then they can just read your book, right? So, Stefan, what is your message for our readers, and what do you hope that they walk away with after finishing your book?
Yeah, I would like feedback, yeah, and hear their opinion. Yeah, I'm always happy to hear what people think about it. And this is supposed to create a network. So my part of my work is creating a network and finding friends and establishing connections. And that is one important part of my life. Yeah, connections to nice people who are also interested in technology. Yeah, that is very nice part of my daily life.
Mhm. So you would welcome all the feedback that you can get. So before we wrap up, Stefan, please let our viewers and listeners know where they can follow your work online, explore your website. I know they can get in touch with you through your website as well. And of course,
Yeah.
grab a copy of your book.
Yeah, this book can be ordered on my webpage www.codezsuperbikes.com and all the other six books. And in a few months, there will be number eight. And number eight is about the Z1000H fuel injection and the previous model Z1000G fuel injection, which is also a very important section of these superbikes of the 1970s and 80s. Yeah, visit my webpage. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stefan. So, this has been a fascinating conversation. Thank you for sharing your passion and deep knowledge of Kawasaki Superbikes with us today. Your book, Kawasaki Superbikes Z1000 DNS, is a fantastic tribute to a true icon of motorcycling history and innovation. So, if you're a fan of motorcycles or simply curious about how these legends came to be, you can check out Kawasaki Superbikes Z1000 DNS by Stefan Oehl. It's available in paperback, hardcover, and ebook formats at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, the Ex Libris online bookstore, and other resellers. So that wraps up this episode of the Author Roundup. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.